welcome to the channel. Today's video will do the pre-flight checklist startup and takeoff in the X-Plane 12 Robinson R22 Beta 2. First thing you're going to need is the POH or Pilot Operating Handbook, which you can get on Robinson's website. The easiest way is to Google Robinson R22 POH. It'll take you right there. Okay, and then today we're looking at normal procedures in section 4, which I have downloaded, and I'll open the PDF. We'll turn the battery on. And we'll see the alternator and oil pressure warning lights illuminated. And we'll open the cowl panels. And we'll test the warning light switches. You'll see these illuminate on the dash when we push the buttons. And we'll check the fuel quantity, and then we'll turn the battery back off for the rest of the pre-flight checklist. Okay, and then we'll check the aux tank cap, and we'll check the fuel lines and make sure everything is okay. And then here in this area are the sump trains. We'll check those and make sure that there's no sediment or water in the fuel. Underneath here there's a window to check the gearbox oil. You can actually see the rotor brake, which you can reach and operate. Make sure it's operating okay. You check the flex coupling and yoke flanges for cracks, which aren't modeled, but they'd be here in this area. Then you check the gearbox teletemp, which would be on the gearbox here, but it's not modeled. And the sprag clutch is here. And the static source would be a line. There's a white tube here. And these are the tail rotor control rod ends. Make sure that they have free and clear motion. And then you also can check the steel tube frame. Make sure that everything's okay, that there's no cracks. And then we can close the cowl door. So you close this one first. There's actually a little rib here that catches this other door. Then you would continue looking at the carb air duct here. And there's a heat scoop underneath. You need to make sure that that's free and clear. And make sure that the engine is in good condition. And that there aren't any dents or cracks. These right here are the spark plugs. And the fuel lines. Then you would check the oil cooler, open this door, make sure there's no debris, and check the lines coming from the oil cooler to make sure that the connections are okay. And also check the exhaust system here and make sure that there aren't any cracks. Check the sprag clutch and upper bearing for leaks, as well as the upper bearing teletemp. Then check your upper and lower sheave grooves. And look at this side of the flex coupling and the yoke flange. Make sure that the steel tube frame is in good condition and that the tail rotor control is also in good condition. And we'll look at the cooling fan nut. The mechanics usually leave a line in line with the safety wire on the nut and the bolts so that you can tell if it has changed alignment, which can happen if you over rev the engine during startup. You're going to check the condition of the blades. And then you're going to get down underneath, and there's another teletemp here. And inspect the lower bearing and make sure it's not leaking. And then we'll look at the tail surface connections. And we'll walk down the tail and make sure that it's in good shape. We'll check the position light. We'll check the horizontal and vertical stabilizers. And there's a teletemp to look for on the tail rotor gearbox. And make sure that the gearbox on the tail rotor is in good shape, there's no leaks. We'll inspect the tail rotor blades. We'll inspect the pitch links and the teeter bearings. And this is the bell crank. And make sure that it operates properly. Continuing down, check the tail on this side. And check the connections and the tube frame. And make sure that the antennas are in good working order and secure. We'll get to the engine, left side. The oil check dipstick is on this side. We'll check the oil. We'll check that the filter is secure. We'll check the fuel lines and we'll drain the gas collator. Make sure that there's no sediment or water in the fuel. We'll open the door and you can operate the throttle here and make sure that the linkage is working properly. Then you can check that the battery is secure, and there's a relay mounted on the wall that you need to check is secure. And then check the alternator, and that the belt tension is good. And also check the remaining steel tube frame for cracks. Look at the engine sheet metal, make sure it's okay. Inspect the exhaust system on this side in overall condition. Make sure that the duct is clear. Check the main fuel tank, make sure that the cap is secure. And then we'll climb up and inspect the main rotor. You can use this as a step right here. Inspect the blades, look down the blades, make sure there's no problems. We'll look at the pitch change boots. Those are these right here. There's a rubber boot on the back side. Inspect for leaks. Make sure that the main hinge bolts are in good working order and that the safety pins and wire are intact. And we look at all the rod ends and fasteners to make sure that they're in good working order. And then inspect the swash plate scissors right here. The baggage compartment is located under the seat. You can put the controls in there before flight if you need to remove the co-pilot controls. You can check that the door hinges are secure and that they're pinned if they're installed for the flight. And make sure that the landing gear is in good working order. You also want to have a look at this back bar here and make sure that it has a slight smile. Check the position light on the left side, and you can close the door. And check the pitot tube here, make sure it's clear with no obstructions. Make sure that the windshields are clean. And that the vent and the landing light are in good working order. Move around the other side, make sure the windshield's in good shape. Landing gear, position light. And then you can climb into the cabin. Okay, moving on with the checklist. Seatbelts fastened. Fuel valve is open. Cyclic collective friction off. And then you would test all the controls. Move free and clear at the same time. collective full down, friction back on, friction back on. Make sure that the rotor brake is disengaged. Check that all the circuit breakers are in. Check that the carb heat is in. Mixture full rich. Install the mixture guard. Prime as required, then make sure the primer is down and locked. Make sure the landing light is off. Avionics switch, if installed, is off. Make sure the clutch is disengaged. Make sure the altimeter is set. And that the governor switch is set to on. Okay, we would twist the throttle for priming as necessary. Closed. Turn on the battery. Turn on the strobe and position lights. Make sure the area is clear. And then start the engine. After the engine is started, turn on the alternator. Engage the clutch. And then manage the throttle as the blades start to turn. Once the clutch light is out, you can go to 75%. During engine warm-up, you'd be doing all of your other items, setting your flight plan, calls, and the other items you would have to do, like you would be setting up the GPS. Let's do that now. So our maximum continuous power is 22.6 at sea level. We're 1,000 feet above, so 22.4 is our max continuous manifold pressure. This is our manifold pressure gauge. We should be able to pick up and hovering ground effect at about 20-ish. Alright. It's actually pretty impressive. The gauge is now showing in the green after sitting here for a couple of minutes doing our other items in the cockpit. At 70 to 75% RPM. The engine gauges are in green. Cylinder head temperature here is in green. And we'll do our mag drop test. Okay, so First mag drop. Left. Okay, there we got a drop. Back to both. Should go back up. And we'll check the other one. Okay, there we got a drop. Back to both. Okay, that looks good. Carb heat. Check. And we should get a drop. Which the needle's in the range anyway, so we'll leave that on. Do a needle split check. Quickly drop the throttle and bring it back up. Make sure that the needle's split, but I don't want to lose too much rotor RPM. Needle split, bring it back up. Okay, keep it there at 70, 75. Alright, we're ready to go. So at this point, we would put our checklists away. We would turn our frictions off and we would get ready to go. And turn the governor off for this last check. So friction off here, friction off here, warning horn check. So I'm going to raise the collective until the horn comes on. And I'm going to manually raise the throttle until that warning horn turns off. There it goes. Put the collective back down. Alright, there we are in the green arc. And then I'm going to engage the governor. Okay, we're ready to go fly. Raise the collective to get it light on skids. Cancel out any movement with the cyclic. And then pick it up into a 3-foot arc. While we're taxiing off the ramp, we'll take a quick minute and go over my thoughts on X-Plane 12. We're only a few weeks into the beta, and we already have Payware and Freeware developers that have improved the scenery drastically. The default airports, I think, are far better in X-Plane 12. And from a pilot's perspective, I was able to just run through the published checklist of the aircraft manufacturer that I fly pretty realistically. I would have to say overall I'm pretty impressed with X-Plane 12. We're in ground effect, about 21 inches of manifold pressure. As we ease out over the taxiway, we'll keep the cyclic forward. The airspeed indicator will start to come alive as you go through ETL. The nose will want to pitch up, keep the cyclic forward, continue to accelerate. When you reach about 50 knots, back on the cyclic and climb out. It's a dynamic rollover, kids.